Hey, welcome back to Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're back today with my 1956 Beetle, also known as Eleanore. Look at her up there. There she is. Yeah, storm damage, blah, 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 hurricane, rusted out, beat her up, rebuilt her, you know the deal. She's back in one piece. She's a chop top. There she is. We're trying to work on an engine up here on this chassis, and this is what I've been trying to put together for the last few days. And I keep running into problems. Today's no different. So we're going to discuss a little bit about what's going on here today and about the next little challenge that I've run into. And I don't think this one is going to be too awfully big of a deal. But we're going to talk about that right after the introduction. So please, as always, like, comment, subscribe, plug the dingle bell next to the subscribe button. That way we get updates every time I upload a video. And don't forget, check out Duckman Cycles and VW Garage up on the Facebook group page. And if you'd like to email me, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in just a second. Go! We are back. There's Eleanor's new engine that we're putting together in here. Yeah, she's a little dirty. Yeah, she's a little scruffy. And a lot of people said, you should clean that engine before you put it in. Well, I don't even know if it runs yet. And I discussed that in my midday Q&A video over on VV. But the deal on this engine is, it's not cleaned yet, and it's not finished yet, because it's not finalized yet. I don't even know if it's going to run. What if it has a terrible rod knock? You know, what if something's really, really wrong with this engine? I'm not going to, bother detailing or going through cleaning the whole thing, only for it to find out that it's completely fucked up. Now, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to think a few steps ahead, and I'm actually way ahead of you guys as far as that's concerned, because that's the direction that we're going to be attacking on this thing. That's the way I'm going to go. It's just, I'm going to clean this thing up later. I'm going to put it together, see if it runs. If it's good, take it apart, then detail it, make it look nice, and in the car she goes. So anyways, that's where we're at on this thing. I started to put the exhaust together yesterday when it started to rain on Eleanore. And yes, I know, I need some... That's my work phone. We'll have to check that in just a minute. But yes, I know I need something to stop Eleanore from getting rained on. I also talked about that today in the midday Q&A video. So if you haven't gone over the VV, my other YouTube channel, and you want to certainly watch what I discussed about this and how I've already thought way ahead of what I'd like to do to keep this car dry. Well, first things first, I wanted to put this exhaust header on here because it's complete. Everything here is ready to go, and it has the proper kind of 3-bolt flange on the front for my Stinger. So I started to put this thing in, and the first thing that I noticed, as soon as I put it in, looking right over here on this side, and you can see it right away looking right down at it. Even though the exhaust isn't actually mounted, you can see immediately that the strut here to the CAFR bar is going to be conflicting with the exhaust pipe. It comes right out and it hits this. You see how that pipe is actually turned inwards? It turns in this way. Normally, on a Volkswagen, they turn outwards a little bit. So that's not so much a fault of the CAFR bar as it is that exhaust. So this exhaust is not going to work without severe modifications. I'm going to have to do a lot of cutting and turning of pipes. And when it comes to exhaust tuning, it's really not my forte. I do know that all these headers have to be exactly the same length in order to get them tuned properly. So as soon as I start cutting these things and altering them, I'm going to be changing the dynamics of this pipe. So I'm not going to get into that. So the next thing I looked at was these J-tubes that I had here all along, and I put one on, and like I said, they curve outwards like they're supposed to, so it cleared the CAFR bar just fine. So I went ahead and came around, just take that off of there, it's just going to fall off anyway. So I came around this side, and I said, okay, that one seems to clear. This one looks a lot closer, though. So I went ahead and started to put it on, and it's still hitting it. But it's only in the way just a little bit. So I think what needs to happen here is the CAFR bar brace that's on the bottom, or I should say the little tang that attaches to the frame horn under there. I'm going to have to change the angle of it and probably bring it up. So I have to loosen that bolt that's down there in the frame horn and bump that sucker back into position. I may even have to just trim a little bit out of the rear engine mount here just to make sure that it clears properly. Wow, work has a real hard-on for me today. I'm going to have to go grab that phone in just a second here because now it's getting urgent. As soon as I start sending more than one email, something's up. Alright, so I'm definitely going to have to move that strut bar to get that exhaust on there, and then clearance is still going to be really, really tight. But the good thing about the strut bar is, well, there's no moving parts in it. It doesn't carry fuel. It's not electrical. So it really doesn't matter if it gets hot. So being close to the exhaust, it doesn't need a heat shield or any of that. It might just burn some of the powder coating or paint that's on it off, but I'm not too worried about it. I just don't want them to touch each other. And remember, this engine will bounce around a little bit because it is rubber mounted, but the CAFR bar strut is actually solid, so that will be in a fixed position. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of playing with that and see if I can come up with a way to make that work. That also means that I have to use a new header similar to this one, but this one I don't like it. I don't like that 3-bolt flange that's on there. It doesn't work with any of the exhaust mufflers or anything that I've got. And what I'd really like to put on this car anyway is a glass pack, exactly like is on the Fastback. I really like the look and the sound of the Fastback. I never had a glass pack on a Volkswagen before, and as soon as I put that one on there, I was just overjoyed with it. So that's what's going to go on this car just the same. So I already got online, and I already ordered me a brand new header that matches these J-tubes with a matching glass pack on it, which also allows me to put the stinger on because it does have the same 3-bolt flange that this does. So bonus, winner. I get to have a little bit of everything, and it wasn't too awfully expensive either. It was a little over $100, so not too awfully bad. But that's going to be about a week away from arriving, so I'm going to have to see what else I can work on meanwhile. So what we're going to do is we're going to still put tins together. We're still going to get things on here. I might still bolt that header on there just to go ahead and get it started. It'll be noisy, but at least I'll have direction for the exhaust to come out one way instead of it going every which direction. In minimal, I'd at least like to have the J-tubes on. That way when I start it, the exhaust will blow backwards. So if any oil or anything comes out of it, it's not going to go all over my pan chassis. I really don't want to have to start cleaning this thing. It's just got dust on it. It doesn't need a big gooey mess, if you know what I mean. Alright, so let's see what we can do about getting that exhaust on there, but before I do any of that, I'm going to have to go and check my phone and figure out exactly what the hell's going on at work today and why are they bothering me. Back in a second. Bloop. Okay, so before I decided to dive into anything, I figured let's go ahead and send a text message over to Kevin, the owner of Cool Rides Customs, the guy who makes this CAFR bar. And this isn't a commercial for him, and he's not paying for this in any way, but he helped me out, so I'm going to throw him a bone. I sent him a photo of it, because of course I have his number because we had conversations and a little bit of a disagreement last summer, but you know, we both got over that because we're grown men, and we actually get along really good. But anyway, I asked him, having texted him a photo of this, and I asked him if he ran into this problem before, and he says yes he has. He said one of the things that you want to do in this case is remove the lower tang that's down here where this bar or strut attaches to, and move it to the opposite side of the rear engine cradle, and putting a notch in the side here so that way it can pass through, and then hinge the whole thing upwards, and that will take that whole bar and it'll cause it to move that way. So it should give me enough room for the J-tube to pass on through there. Now I think I can probably one-up that and maybe even change it a little bit differently. I don't really want to put that tang on the inside of the engine cradle, and the reason for that is because if I do, the thickness of that tang, it's going to push the whole engine and transmission back that far. And it might only be, I don't know, a quarter of an inch. But for those of you that have Volkswagens, you know exactly how difficult it is to get the rear breastplate clearance in there, the exhaust, and what it takes to get an engine in and out. It's just a real pain in the ass. In fact, I just got another message. I think that's from him. But we'll check that in just a second. But, yeah, I don't want to push that engine back. In his case, he builds a lot of race cars and stuff, and a lot of customs, and it probably doesn't matter so much in those cases because you're going to be modifying everything anyway, and you know, I really shouldn't be speaking about that too much because Eleanor's been modified how much now? Yeah, I'm going to try to keep that engine as close to the body as possible and not push it back anymore. So I think I'm going to definitely notch it, as he said, but leave the tang where it's located and hinge it upwards, and hopefully that'll make clearance. It doesn't need a whole lot. It really doesn't need much at all. I mean, it's almost seated. In fact, if I had a stack of gaskets, I could probably put it in there. That's a stupid way to do it, but I mean, that might work. Even if I just had another exhaust flange, just the flange itself, and put a gasket on either side of it and bolted it down, that would probably also make it fit. But Yeah, we're not going to get into that. I'm kind of tired of working on this kind of stuff today. Today's supposed to be my day off. I worked on a bunch of, hairy homeowner projects, the stuff you're supposed to take care of around your house. And I really don't want to do this. I really don't. But I think we're just gonna give it a shot anyway. I guess we'll go ahead and pull the J-tube out, and then we'll pull the strut out. The strut shouldn't come out with any tools. I actually already loosened the nuts on it, 19mm nuts. These are just little cotter pin clips that go in here. I'll just pull the clips out, knock the little pins out, and pull the strut out entirely. Get up underneath here. I'm going to do this with the engine still in. Just loosen up the bolt that holds in the rear transmission into the frame horn back there, and let that tang swing downwards. And then I think I can get in there with my angle grinder and cut a notch into it. Put a little bit more blue paint onto it, and then hinge it back up into place and see what that does. And I think that ought to be good. I think that ought to do it. Alright, let's see what happens. Alright, I did get asked yesterday if I was going to put heat on this thing, and actually getting a good look at the struts that are on here for the CAFR bar and how a heater box mounts. It looks like the answer is no, at least not stock heat anyway, because I'm going to need a second hand here to do this or something. What the hell? There. That gives you an idea as to what I've got going on here. So obviously the strut's in the way. If I wanted to use this CAFR bar, I'm not going to be able to use the stock heater boxes, and I don't think that's such a bad thing. I think down the road, if I'm going to wind up putting heat in the car, then I'm just going to have to use a heater core. And you say, well, there's no coolant in this car. Well, actually, yeah, there is. This car moves oil, and oil is a coolant, and oil will hit, boiling temperatures, and it'll go significantly higher than that even, and there's no reason I couldn't use that as a heater. So what I'll have to do is use a little line that diverts the oil into a oil cooler. Essentially, it'll be up front in the passenger area with an electric fan to blow air over it, and put in some custom duct work. Nothing that's a big deal, nothing that's hard to do. But once again, when it comes to something custom, it seems like I always have to move something or change something or alter something. Everything always has to be just a little bit different. But what fun would the car be if I didn't if I didn't run into some kind of problem along the way? All right, we're back over here. I went ahead and pulled the strut out, and then I put the J-tube in and bolted it in solid. So now I know exactly where it has to be. And when I put the strut back in here, you can see it has to come over about an inch to the left at the top. I may have to make a custom tang for down in there. And that's not hard to do. I just got to get me a piece of 1/4-inch steel and cut it out and, bend it a little bit. Put it in a vise and hit it with the sledge once. Done. Bolt it in. And that may wind up being what happens. We'll just see on this one here. But I'm going to continue to mess with it. I'm not running my time-lapse video today for this one. Just because there's a lot of experimentation in here. I don't actually know what I'm getting into or what I'm doing. So I'm just going to keep playing with this thing until I get it about the way that I want it. I think I'm going to have to put a floor jack under the engine, because I'm going to have to loosen or remove that bolt down below there. Get that tang out, so that way I can cut that bracket. But I've been doing a lot of speculation and talking in this video, but there's a lot of thinking that I have to do before I commit to anything here. Alright, well, always something, and it's always fun. God, I love these Volkswagens. I really do. Well, alright, I went ahead and mocked up the whole exhaust pipe that you see on here. I got the headers and everything set up, and I've actually got the strut removed from here, as I talked about before. You can see that I have plenty of clearance up in here between the strut and the J-tube, so we're good on that side. But when I got to looking at it from top down, this way, I started to notice that the left-hand side here, which is normally ahead of the right-hand side anyway, the bend actually appeared to be further away from the head this way than it is on this side. Sure enough, when I measured it, from the flange to the center of the pipe, this is 3.5 inches. When I came over here and measured it, it's 2.5 inches. So this pipe is actually a whole inch longer that way, which is one of the problems why, if you look here, you see how this little tapered end fits into the other pipe, and we've got about 1.75 inches right here. When you look at it on this side, look at how wide that is. So when I shorten this about 1 inch, they should be about equal, but this whole thing is actually coming out. It's barely even in there. So this pipe, this J-tube, is actually manufactured improperly. There's nothing wrong with my CAFR bar. There's nothing wrong with the design of any of that. Everything here is the problem and fault of this left side J-tube, and only that. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut about an inch out of it right here, and then weld the flange back on and put this thing back together. And because everything is mocked up as it is, it should be real easy to use it as a template or a brace to hold everything in place while I tack the welds on there and get the thing put back together. That should solve that problem. I don't think we'll have an issue after that. But I'm not set up to do that today. I didn't plan on doing any welding here. In fact, I've been kind of staying away from welding. I don't like having to get all suited up with the mask and the gloves and all that nonsense, and having to deal with the smoke, which is my biggest problem with dealing with the welding. I don't like dealing with the smoke at all. Or the hot sparks burning holes in my clothes. I've just gotten a little tired of that. I did a lot of welding over the summer. A lot of welding. But it looks like I'm going to have to do a little bit more welding here in order to proceed on this. So this header isn't what I'm going to use, but it will be used as a temporary mock-up to hold that J-tube in place. So we're going to cut that and take care of that probably tomorrow. Now tomorrow is tech session. That's right, tomorrow is tech session Saturday, and what that means to you guys is you guys will be seeing a tech session video. Now I will probably try to upload the December one because I'm actually a month behind on those, so I'll upload it over on the VV the Duck VV channel, so please check out the tech session. Of course this is January, and I'm going to try to keep those tech session videos no more than about a week behind, so next Saturday, not tomorrow but the following Saturday, you guys will see the January tech session. So how about that? So you guys are invited. Anybody that wants to work on Volkswagen, or anybody that just wants to watch. If you like Volkswagens and you like to hang out with people, and if you like pizza, there's going to be pizza. We'll feed you for free. We'll feed you for free. Come on out to the tech session. Down below in the video description, there'll be a link that shows you where our website is, and on our website you'll be able to find the tech session location, and it's an open invite. Come on down and join us. Bring your Volkswagen, or don't. Just come on by and be a friend. As always, you guys, please like my videos. Please comment. Please subscribe. Pluck that little dingle belly you see down there next to the subscribe button. That way you get an update every time I upload a new video. And don't forget to join Duckman Cycles VW Garage up on the Facebook group page. And if you'd like to email me, duckmancycles@dugshit.net. And I never push it, but I do have an Instagram, VV the Duck VV, just like my other YouTube channel. That's actually been named a long time ago, and I've been carrying that name for quite a while. So yeah, VV the Duck VV. And I try to take pictures of my little projects here and the things that I work on. Of course, there's other stuff that goes up there too, like, Skeeters. Skeeter shares that Instagram with me too. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Kind of a short video today, but we're definitely going to do a longer one tomorrow, I promise. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you later.